Welcome back to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Cataclysm Crew, issue 29, Booked. On the cover, we see the back of Max, Lucy, and Al's heads, staring at a book on a table. On the page of the book, in an old-fashioned looking drawing, is Taranis, holding onto prison bars. We turn the page and our story begins.
We start next with the party, split in a admittedly slightly unconventional way. Though we had talked about having Amber go with everyone to do the research, Amber has a meeting at the exact same time that the research would be happening. So we're going to cut into Lucy, Al, and Max in the university library. How is everyone researching? Like, who's on a computer? Who has books? Who's on their phone texting?
Al is texting Veronica and Tatiana, telling them both about everything that's about to happen. And Al is also on the computer on coolmathgames.com.
Nerd.
So you were texting both and you were on coolmathgames.com. Max, how are you research?
Probably Squire and I going through stacks of books.
Are the Robo Squires helping?
No, just the meat
Only one
Squire.
raccoon in the library, thank you very much.
It's a weirdly specific sign.
There's a reason for every sign. Max is probably a reason for this one.
Delightful.
She's probably doing some detailed database research, and she's probably also going to like those microfilm machines to look at old newspaper articles.
Excellent. So someone tell me about a case that you have discovered where a superhero murdered someone in the line of duty, or someone died as a result of a superhero in the line of duty, and how it happened, and like what happened to that superhero.
I don't think Max is actually going to find much info, so I think this is on Lucy.
Yeah, I think when she last spoke to Amber, she mentioned vaguely about like a superhero trying to stop a train, and it like crashing, and like some folks did die, but it wasn't the superhero's fault because they ended up saving most of the passengers. So she's probably trying to do more research to find out about that concrete case.
Excellent. Who is that person? What was the... Make up as many details as you want.
Mr. Inconceivable. I want that to be it because Princess
That's
died.
a good one.
All right, so Mr. Inconceivable stopped a train, and in stopping it, it crashed. Most of the passengers were saved, but some did not make it.
And like the caboose or something went off the rails, and so they're like something flipped, and someone or a couple people died, but because it was overall a success, it was just sort of deemed an accident.
Was there a criminal trial for that one, or was there...
I mean, there probably was, but it was probably just for show to say, like, we're doing this trial because it's what the law states, but everyone sort of knew they'd be acquitted at the end.
Excellent. So I think we see a couple panels of, like, film from that day. Like, we see some, like, scratchy footage. I'm imagining this was, like, probably, like, pretty early superhero. Like, this is probably Gold Era. So we've got some, like, black and white still photography, that kind of thing. We see a bunch of panels of that. And I do think we see a panel of Mr. Inconceivable sitting in a jail cell. And then we turn the page and we see Taranis sitting in his jail cell in the exact same, like, positioning. Taranis, this is the same night as when you were visited by Dark Allen. What are you doing?
He's sitting there and he's aggravated. Like, there's a clear, like, or I guess aura? That's not the right word. But you could tell he's aggravated. Like, the look on his face, the look on it, you could tell he's tense. He's aggravated. And he's actually tossing the electrical ball back and forth in his hand, like really fast, and kind of squeezing it like you would squeeze a stress ball. Yeah, I think that's what's going on with Alan right now.
As that's happening, we see the same guard from earlier, who you saw, like you heard going into the cell next to you. We see him pass, and he glances in your cell as he passes, and he smirks, and then he keeps going, and you hear him like open the door to your neighbor's cell and go inside.
Alan's going to stand up, walk. The ball's going to dissipate as he stands up, and he's going to walk to the door, and he just puts his hand on the door, and you're going to see electricity crackle out of his hand, and the door just open up.
I want you to go ahead and roll to unleash your powers to see if you do, in fact, open the door. 10 anyway. So you do the thing. The door slides open soundlessly. It's very lovely. And you are open in the hallway. You see some people in like cells adjacent to you, like reacting, and like someone's like banging on the cell, but because the cells are soundproof, there's no sound in the hallway. You just see people like reacting. The people in the cells across from you are not happy that you can just like walk in and out at will. But you're in the hallway. What do you want to do?
Alan, the first thing Alan's going to do is he's going to turn and look to the cell where the guy's banging on the glass on the wall, and he's going to walk over to the door and he's going to do the exact same thing he did earlier and open it. He's going to open the cell door, and as soon as he does that, he says, he's going to say to the person inside, "I need you to make a distraction." And then as he does that, he wants to.
Hold on, before we go on, the person inside the cell is Mars. Mars has been featured prominently recently, but for those of you who do not remember, Mars is a 6'6". This is the height I always use, I think, but he may change heights. A man not made of volcanic glass, but with volcanic glass sticking out of his skin, and he has the ability to turn his hands into living flame. And as you're like, "I need you to be a distraction," he's like, "People are always using me for things. I don't want people to use me for things. I just want to be out of this goddamn collar." And he tries to rip it off his neck, but as he does, a bolt of lightning flashes through it, and he just sinks to his knees.
Alan is going to look at him and say, "Well, good thing I'm here." And he's going to grab it, and he wants to basically supercharge it and break the collar, and then look at him and say, "You're free. Just don't get in my way." Okay, I'm going to unleash my powers then. Okay, that's a 5.
All right. You got to put your hand on his collar to supercharge it, and it's still coursing with a little bit of electricity. So when you go to shock it, it actually kind of reverbs back into you, and it sets the alarm on the collar off, and the collar just starts screaming this alarm. As it does that, you just see bolts of electricity blasting over and over and over into Mars. You to go ahead, and if you don't already have guilty marked, you should mark guilty.
Okay. I don't have guilty mark, but then I'm going to realize what's going on, and I'm going to use the other 2 burn I have to overcharge and break the collar apart.
Perfect. Go ahead and use overcharge. Tell me how that looks on the panel.
You're going to see the lightning basically coming off of the thing, and effectively you're going to see in the panel, you see the first panel, it coursing through Mars, and then you're going to see basically it redirect into Alan, and his eyes are going to be glowing, and then basically you're going to see a close-up of his hand, and his hand's just going to crush the collar and then pull it off, dropping it to the floor.
Mars looks up at you and immediately is like, "Yo, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?"
You're free. I need you. You help me, and I'll get you out of here.
He looks at you and he laughs, and he's like, "Huh, yeah, Saber doesn't always let people out just to bring him back in. Like that time I went to help your little girlfriend find out a lesson. Saber said I was going to get out then too, and now look at where I am."
I think as he says that, I'm going to charge. I'm going to charge my burn. So can I do that and then describe what happens when I do that?
Yep, go ahead and roll to charge your burn.
Okay,
right,
so
that's a 12.
Yeah, that's a 12. What that looks like whenever I begin to charge is that you're going to see of course the lightning that was already coursing through me. It's basically going to be basically rolling off of him like an aura at this point, a very, very bright and visible aura. And then Alan's going to, in taking the almost like the form of Taranis, and say something to the effect of, "This prison can't hold me, nor you. If they stop me, I will remove them. Help me."
Go ahead and roll to provoke.
That's a 9.
Cool. So on a 7 to 9, they can instead choose one, stumble, err, or overreact. They're going to overreact. Mars is going to overreact, so you get influence over Mars. He looks at you and he's like, "You want a distraction? Fine." And his fire hands just blast every cell open, just one after the other.
I love it.
And now there's 12, 13 villains just coming out. Most of them are half asleep, so they're like, "What's going on?" But every cell has been blasted open, with the exception of the cell right behind you, where your friend or where you recently saw the guard go.
Alan is going to look at Mars and say, "And it looks like we now have help. I'll leave you to your devices. Just stay out of my way." And Alan, as he walks out of the cell where Mars is, every step I want to have electricity just pouring off of his legs and feet and just as he steps towards the cell where the guy with the cart walked in.
Perfect. You are at that cell door. What do you want to do?
I want to open the cell door, and what do I see when I open the cell door inside? Or do I need to unleash my powers to do that again?
I think at this point you're rolling with so much energy that the cell just like blasts open when you walk past it. I think it actually like slams open in a way that the doors normally don't slide. You can see a crack like form on the outside of the glass. And you look in and you see the same like one man who you saw recently, like who you saw before, like sleeping. And he like stirs and he's like, "Yo, I just want my beauty sleep."
Alan wants to raise his hand, of course, with electricity crackling off of him, and say, "Drop the illusion, or everything in the room fries."
The guy looks at you and rolls his eyes, and then the illusion is gone. And you see three figures. The guard who you saw earlier, just standing in the corner with the laundry basket in front of him. The same dark-haired Guatemalan 5'8" non-binary person you saw before, with their hands outstretched over the crystals, which are in the cart, which are all glowing these like bright hallucinogenic colors, psychedelic colors. And then where the like short man sleeping on the bed was, you see a different man propped up on one shoulder, like beads of sweat on his forehead.
As I'm still holding my hand up, I'm going to ask very, I guess, menacingly, where do they come from? Where did you get the crystals?
The guard looks at you. And the person, I'll give you the names. Overload is the non-binary person with the crystals. The guard is the guard right now. And then Mirage is the person on the bed. The guard looks at you and is like, "Look, kid, this really none of your business."
It became my business when Sword disappeared. Where did you get the crystals?
Go ahead and roll to pierce the mask. On a 7 or 9, you can ask one.
I'm going to ask,
How could I get your character to tell me where the crystals are from? Would probably work as well.
yeah, that would effectively be exactly what I wanted.
Cool. The guard kind of backs up, seeing the electricity crackle, and is like, "Look, we don't want any trouble. We didn't mess with your friend. I just, he wasn't here, so I slipped into his skin for a little bit. The Crown of Thorns needs me to charge these up, and we don't want to let anyone involved down. So, you don't want to make bigger enemies than you can handle."
Bigger enemies than I can handle. And as he says that, I want to use worship and have basically the electricity rolling off of me to the point where the doors on the floor below me open up, and every single camera on the entire this wing, it basically explodes.
All right. Perfect.
And I'm going to spend one burn to do that then.
Great. You do have to unleash your power. So, go ahead and roll plus freak for that.
Okay, that's a 7.
Cool. You can either mark a condition, or I'll tell you how it's unstable or temporary.
We can make it unstable.
Perfect. I will tell you exactly how that happens. I think you're right, that the electricity is like rolling off you in these massive waves, and the cameras are all flickering, and we see like a camera view of we see like a guard looking at a camera feed as like people are running around in the background, and the cameras are flickering and flickering. We see all the doors in the entire prison are opening up, and then we cut back into the cell and we see Overload look up at you, and they just blink. And as they blink, a bolt of lightning shoots off your back and like out of your body and just hits every one of the villains. All 13 villains in the hallway are just hit with these massive bolts of lightning. I want you to roll to directly engage a threat. Cool. I know you didn't really choose this. I'm going to say your options are impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition, or resist or avoid their blow.
I'll be resisting or avoiding any blows.
Cool.
Since I just did worship, so...
You see these like big bolts of lightning just like bursting off your back and off your shoulders, and one by one the villains drop. The last one to hit the ground is Mars, who's like, "You motherfuck," and then gets hit with the lightning and just drops. And so there's just piles of bodies in the hallway. And Overcharge looks up at you and is like, "You really should learn to control that." And then they blink again, and you just have this bolt of lightning like blast from your chest into the back wall and just send you flying backwards. And you hit the back wall behind you and just slump and you were knocked unconscious momentarily.
Okay, cool. I dig it.
And we're going to cut over to Amber. Amber, you had a meeting.
Yep.
Set the scene for me at this bubble tea place when you have this meeting.
Would Anagram have gotten there first, or would Amber have? Because I think Amber would have been running late.
Anagram probably was there like exactly on time. So if you're running late, Anagram's probably already sitting there.
Cool. Yeah. Amber arrives late and gets her tea and comes over and sits down. Hey, thanks for meeting me.
Yeah, and Anagram pulls like a small device out of the pocket on her sundress and sets in the middle of the table, presses a button, and since you can sense currents, like I think you feel like there's a just like signal dampening field around you. I feel like after she found out she was being tracked at all times, she would definitely have gotten that tech.
Oh, thank God. I was literally just about to ask if you had something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how much attention they're paying to me, but we should probably be quick in case they notice.
Yeah, because they pay attention to everything.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yep. So, I mean, you know my friend just got arrested by Saber.
Taranis, yeah.
Yeah. I think we get a panel with like an editor's note where it says Amber has just realized exactly what she is about to ask, where her face is like beet red.
I like that.
So like I know you work with Saber, and this is probably not a great thing to ask, but do you know where he's being kept?
Do I or can I find out what's...
You do know he's being kept. Sword told you about like where he was going.
Okay. Yes, I do. And I think Anagram isn't like entirely toneless during this.
Do they allow visitors?
At that, she kind of breaks a bit and actually just straight up chuckles. Really? You think they're going to let visitors? Just ask me what you want to ask me.
I want to get him out.
T, can I push myself to remember Taranis in the future before I answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Go wild.
So I think we get like Anagram leaning forward and lifting her glasses, and we start seeing like the possible futures of Amber. And then we get a couple panels like indistinctly seeing Taranis connecting with that. And I'm going to roll plus memories.
Perfect.
It starts at a -1, right?
I
Yes.
believe so, yeah. So now you're at a 3?
+2.
+2. Alright, so that is a 7.
On a hit, you connect who they are now to who they are in the future. Choose the role that they fulfill in the future, and the GM will tell you about their future self.
Cool.
Kai, do you want leader or builder?
Alan ain't a builder.
I'm going to pick leader.
Great.
But maybe some like vague future vision of the glacier beast, and then like cuts to like future vision Taranis like building a resistance against them or her.
I think we actually just see straight up, like, over Amber's shoulders, we see the glacier beast and, like, what is clearly, like, lightning beast, but, like, lightning monster, lightning Taranis, just, like, going at it. And, like, we see, like, lightning blasting through the glacier beast and, like, huge claws raking at the lightning monster. And then behind them, we can see, like, the colors changing from the, like, maroon of the scary vision back into like the blue of the regular vision as the lightning shape is clearly winning.
Awesome. I think we snap back to like a panel of Anagram's face. She puts her glasses back down, leans away from Amber and goes, I can help, but you have to promise you're going to help me in the future once I figure this all out.
I'm with you. I don't know if you want it, but like, could there just be a fun panel of Anagram like trying to drink the bubble tea and like reacting to the bubbles?
I like that. Yeah, just take a big like drink and just, what the hell was that? What's in this?
Phenomenal. Cut away from that scene, and I'll tell you the information that Anagram gave you. There is a new Saber facility that was built in an old like the warehouse district. They took like a kind of derelict warehouse, kept the outside derelict, and like the inside is like state of the art, super, super high class. There is no way in or out. It is one of the most secure facilities literally anywhere. There are no windows on the doors. There is no like visibility inside or out. It is a stone cold fortress. But Anagram did fill you in that the sword was investigating a drug ring inside the facility, and somehow drugs, specifically Rainbow Howler, are making it in from outside and then back out. They're passing through this like high security Saber facility. And one lead that Saber has gotten is that the Rainbow Howler seems to be traced directly to Spartacus, who, for Moon Harbor readers, he's a familiar face, but for Cataclysm crew, he is not. He is he's the lord of the Underknots, which are the people who live in the city underneath Moon Harbor in the tunnels. There's a whole like civilization down there called the Fractured City. The crystals that grow in the city there, or in the tunnels down there, are being used to make the Rainbow Howler. So somehow someone is getting drugs from the Fractured City into this Saber facility and then back out to be sold on the streets.
Cool. I guess is Rainbow Howler well known?
It is quickly becoming well known. It was a relatively unknown for a very long time. Very much like a criminal drug for criminals. It increases aggression. It is basically like known to like spike energy, spike interest, and spike aggression. People with it get hyper focused and very, very angry and are basically unstoppable. It was a drug that a lot of supervillains were using, like especially back in the 90s. But it has recently hit the streets as like a recreational drug.
Was it used by the MMM at all?
I don't know that it was used by the MMM. Maybe certain members of it. It could be connected, but that would be a question you'd want to go to the MMM for.
Yeah, she wants to go to the MMM.
Cool. Are you filling the crew in, or are you just going to go on your own to the MMM?
I think she's just going to send a text to Max saying, like, taking a detour. I'll meet up with you guys at some point.
Excellent. We're going to follow that text over to Max and the crew. Max, you get that text. Everyone is mid-research mode. Squire, Max, and Lucy are mid-research mode, and Al is kicking ass at coolmathgames.com. What do you do?
I'm gonna. How many other people are in the library?
It's pretty quiet. It's pretty late at night, so...
Yeah, I think at this point, Max has probably given up on research. He's just like laying on a table with his phone like up above him. He's like, Amber's gonna be late. Hey, actually, we need to move the teleportal entrance to the base at some point. Where should we keep that? Do we think we could hide it around here somewhere?
I vote Lucy's house. She never has anybody over there.
No.
It is really central.
She does not look up from her book, so she says no.
I think we get a couple panels of like the research continuing to happen, and then Max like jumps up off the table like, okay, I don't think this is getting us anywhere. Can we all just agree to do the heist?
I'm in.
Lucy is like definitely like still looking at the research, pretending like she did not hear Max say that because she still doesn't know how she feels about it.
Al is gonna portal and grab the book and then rip the book into the portal and then close it.
She pulls out a different book, keeps reading.
Max, I will say if you want to provoke her, you can.
I think I just say, Lucy, like, they're gonna make an example of him, and you weren't there. It was desperate. Without him, the Astrons would probably still be here. They're not gonna treat him right.
You're right. I wasn't there. And I wasn't there, and now he's in jail. And we could go and try to get him, and we could all end up in jail. Or we can try to do this, I don't want to say the right way, because there is no right way, but the way according to the law, and maybe try to get him off, and that way we won't put more targets on our heads, and she just trails off.
Lucy, last week I stole a BMW, and nobody caught me. You're with the master of heists.
You
Need
stole
I
a
remind you, you
BMW?
had 4 syringes stuck in your hand nary an hour ago.
3 syringes, and yes, I did steal a BMW and promptly crashed it into some guy's truck.
Nice.
That's
Subtle.
besides the point. Lucy, remember that ring I gave Veronica? I stole that from Jay's.
Fuck,
Every
right.
kiss begins with J.
I want to get a panel of like Max discreetly whispering to Squire, "Who's Veronica?"
All I'm saying, Lucy, is nothing is gonna go wrong with us doing this heist.
Foreshadowing.
I mean, things will probably go wrong. They always do, but we figure it out in the end, and things are definitely going to go wrong if Saber makes the decision.
I think this might be more of like a metagame thing underneath this all. Lucy's been feeling very insecure about her powers because she like doesn't have real powers, and this is what she can do. She has the research, she has the access to the resources. She's afraid she'll be a hindrance to the team.
Swear to God, if Lucy vanishes too, Al is going to lose his fucking mind.
I'd like to try to read Lucy.
You want to pierce the mask?
Yeah.
Go wild.
Do I have influence on Lucy over Lucy?
Yeah, I think so.
Woo!
I think all of CC has influence over me.
That's a 14.
Fuck.
Don't fuck with my mundane.
All right. On a
My mundane is also baller.
on a 10 plus, you can ask 3.
How can I get your character to agree to the heist? The other one I'm going to ask is, what do you want me to do? And I don't think I'm going to ask a third.
I mean, I think the only way that she's going to do the heist is if she feels the plan is totally foolproof. They've thought of everything that could go wrong. They have a backup plan. And also, she feels like she's not going to freeze or mess up or get in the way, and she will actually be a valuable member of the team. What was the second question?
What do you want me to do?
A plan, and a good one. Make one, that is.
All right, I'm going to digest this for a sec. I'm not sure what to say back.
We're getting real serious here at the end of the session.
I think we end this scene with kind of like a stare down between the three of you. And as we cut away, we cut to Amber back at Crux and Reset's house, where we know the MMM base is. And we see her standing, I think it's in the rain, because I think it's dramatic. I think Amber is standing in the rain as Traceless opens the door. And he's like, "Hey, kid."
Hey, Dad. Can I come in?
"Sure. Come on inside." And I think we open the door, and we see you walk in, and the door closes behind you. And I think that's where this issue ends.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at Icy New Year, or at icynewyear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. She can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter, or TPHuth94 on Instagram. Cataclysm Crew is GM'd by TP Huth. Flyby is played by Jane Barry. You can find her at Jane-Tarzan on Twitter. Rascal King is played by me, Anthony Sheets. Machina is played by Elliot Peterson. She can be found at Elliot Yulin on Instagram. Blue Samurai is played by William Hendry. You can find him on Twitter at RockoutWill321 or on Steam as Cypress_Grunham. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music of this issue is Mistake the Getaway by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.